Hello. In case you happen to be seeing this and not know me and not know who I am, my name's David Harris. I'm a small business owner and also a paramedic. I live in Sandersville, Georgia. And whether you know me or not, just a very, very short portion of my background. Back in 2005, had a very serious health condition brought on by a condition called diverticulitis, which led to me having to spend in my entire life my first night ever in the hospital. I was afraid 7 years earlier I'd been diagnosed with the condition and kind of what I told some of the outcome of that could be. And now I found myself, it made me sick enough that led to my hospitalization. In short, I was in a lot of pain, was very sick, bad infection, and I was terrified. And in my first night in the hospital there, this very, very kind, older nurse, she was the colorectal specialist that was managing my condition, came around to my room and checked on me. And just to make this long story very short, I shared with her that I was terrified. And she asked why, and I told her. And at that point in time, she sat down at the foot of my bed and she patted my leg and she said, "Sweetie, it's going to be okay." And she proceeded to address every one of my fears that I had shared with her. It was at that moment in time that I learned the power of human compassion. Just what a very, very simple act. How much that could mean to someone in a time of stress or difficulty in their life. And I think it just planted a spark of desire in me that as life went along later in life, that led me to an interest in medicine. The field of medicine I ended up choosing was emergency medicine. First to go to school to become an EMT, and then shortly thereafter went back to further my education to the level of paramedic. So that was the power of compassion was what drove me, or attracted me rather, to medicine. As I'm speaking to you now, I'm in the car on the way home from Atlanta. Had to go pay my respects and say, "Hey, I'll see you later," to one of my best friends, someone who at the age of 57 thought that he had the flu, and wasn't the flu. Family, he moved into another portion of his home. He didn't want to make his family sick, and unfortunately they discovered him the next morning, and he had died as a result of a massive heart attack. Not only is it difficult to get news like that, and hard to say goodbye to a friend and someone who was just larger than life. I mean, he was just a unique, just an amazing individual. That's tough enough, but it really hits home for me because those of you that do know me and do know, I mean, today is January 25th, 2025. 3 weeks ago today, I suffered a heart attack. I've shared some of the detail of that, and today I want to share. And the reason I'm doing this in the form of video is just too long to type out. But I want to share. There's a big portion of the story of my experience, and I share this for a number of reasons, and you'll see as we go along. First and foremost, I want people to learn from me. I don't want you to ignore symptoms that there's something serious going on with your body. learn from what I've been through, and if you can learn from what I've suffered through and can avoid that, then what's been a difficult experience for me, maybe we can draw something positive from it if it can help someone else. The part of the story that I haven't told was when and where the heart attack occurred. As I mentioned, I'm a small business owner, but up until this point, I have also worked as a paramedic part-time. I was actually on shift working when my heart attack occurred. Went into very severe pain, had an issue, was not a heart attack, but some cardiac issues about 3 years ago. The pain that I was going through, and by the way, it was not the typical chest pain. My pain was between my shoulder blades and my back. There's a very severe pain. It radiated up from between my shoulder blades, up my spine, into my shoulders, up my neck, and into my jaw on the left side. I've been through some painful experiences in my life, kidney stones, severe burns, and it was a level of pain kind of between those two things. Went and checked into the ER after making me wait several hours. The only way I could get any modicum of relief was to lie down completely flat, and it wasn't very much relief then, but would get a slight easing off. I told them in the ER, I was standing, it was very painful, very uncomfortable, so I told them, hey, I'm going back over to the EMS station. Please give me a call. And, when you can see me and just figure out what's going on. Some time passed, a couple hours, and I was in agony. Finally called my wife to come and get me. And I told her when she got there, it's like, and I was torn between, do I need to go somewhere else, or, it's a Saturday night, I don't, want to go somewhere and have to wait. So I told her, hey, let's run by the ER and see how long it's going to be before they're able to help me. And if it's going to be very long, I need you to take me somewhere else because I'm hurting and I need relief and I need answers. So when we went back by the ER, they did, oh yeah, come on in. They triaged me. Explained to the nurse, every single person I've talked to along the way, I commented that the last time I felt pain like this, it was a cardiac event. So triage, taking vital signs, and placed in an ER bed. And sometime later, they came in and gave me an injection of a medication called Toradol and a muscle relaxer to take by mouth. When I saw the physician, he said, I'm sure it's your neck, but since you're complaining of pain between your shoulder blades, I'm going to do a CT of your neck and your thoracic spine, which they did. Nowhere along the way did they draw any lab work, they start an IV or anything. He did come in a little bit later and ask if the medication they had given me had helped any with the pain, and it had not. So they brought in a pain pill for me to take by mouth. They came in, took me to CT, and continued, just left me laying in bed. I don't know, about a couple of hours later, the charge nurse walked into the room and said, hey, we got your results back, you're fine, there's nothing wrong with you. I'll have your paperwork, you can go home. A minute or two later, he came in and handed me paperwork with the prescriptions for a pain medication called Toradol and a muscle relaxer, and they sent me home. By now, when we got home, this was about 12:30 Sunday morning. Throughout the night, Sunday, I was just absolutely in agony, very, very sick. And I just assumed, I thought, well, there's a pretty nasty flu or some kind of infection going around. I must have it because I hurt and I just felt awful. I slept for the next 30-something hours. I would sleep for 3 to 4 hours at a time, wake up and go to the bathroom, come back and just go right back to sleep and sleep. That's very, very unlike me. Throughout the day on Monday and Tuesday, I was not able to eat. Very, very little fluid was I able to get down. So coming into Tuesday afternoon, I was concerned about dehydration, again, thinking I had the flu. By Wednesday, I was able to eat and drink, and so when I got to a point that I could drink, again, being concerned about dehydration, I just forced fluid. Probably drank a gallon of fluid Wednesday. About 11 p.m. Wednesday night, I'd gone to bed about 9. About 11, I began to cough. So my thoughts were, again, I'm still having this bad pain. It's never subsided. But again, the cough, and my thoughts were, okay, I was dehydrated. I've taken fluid in. Congestion in my chest. Now that I've taken in fluid, congestion is beginning to break up, and I'm coughing it up. Several episodes of this coughing. Absolutely not able to sleep at all Wednesday night. Still in pain and just felt terrible. So by Thursday, I told my wife, I've got to have some relief. Again, thinking I had the flu, not wanting to be just the little, wuss wimp that's going to the emergency room because I've got the flu and I feel bad. But I just was miserable. I knew something was going on and I needed relief. I was pretty displeased with how I had been treated at my home facility. Essentially just total apathetic, could care less attitude. And as you'll see shortly, they basically sent me home to die. So I elected and told my wife, and I had elected and made the decision to go to Emanuel County Hospital in Swainsboro. I have a number of friends that work down there. I'd kind of narrowed it down to between Swainsboro and Dublin. Kind of expected there would be less volume in Swainsboro and felt that my chances of being able to see a provider quicker. And did just that. Everything from the time that we got there, I cannot say enough good things about the personnel, the whole process, everyone, the atmosphere, the compassionate atmosphere and culture that was obvious in that organization. And again, I told them the same thing I told everyone else the last time I had this pain, and I'm not thinking it is cardiac, but I told them the last time that I had this pain, it was a cardiac event. So, being good, thorough clinicians and providers, and they started treating me for the conditions I presented with, and I said I'm thinking it's flu. But they also did the cardiac workup because I mentioned that. Sometime later, the physician's assistant walked into the room, and I knew when I saw her, the look on her face, it was serious. She said, "We got your results back. There's an enzyme that your cardiac muscle releases when it's going through, when your cardiac muscle is dying, there's an enzyme that's released into your blood. 80 on a test, 80 is considered high. Mine was over 7,000. There also is a lab value called D-dimer. It's associated with blood clots. It was over 900. And when she said that, I felt like someone just sucked the air out of the room. I knew it was serious. I knew what it meant. Subsequently, was transferred to Macon, and when I made it to the cath lab, I had a 70% blockage in, it's called the lower anterior descending, or the artery that's more commonly known as the Widowmaker, because this is the artery that where people clutch their chests, they don't feel well, and drop dead. At a 70% in the Widowmaker and a 100% blockage and an artery off of it. So all that time I'd been laying at the house when I had been told by my local facility I was fine, there was nothing wrong with me, and laying there thinking that I had the flu. I was having a heart attack the entire time. Folks, when you're having a heart attack, that means portions of your heart are being starved for oxygen. Well, if you try holding your breath, most of us won't make it past a minute or two, without oxygen. Tissue in your body dies. So for a number of days, tissues in my heart were dying because they were not receiving adequate oxygen. That's why time is critical. The saying is time is muscle, and when you have a blockage and tissues are dying, time is critical. I'm pardon the pun, living proof. I am here today talking to you. I'm alive. But as a result of this, the number of days that passed, the amount of damage to my heart, at this point in time, I've lost half, or a little over half, of the function of my heart. That's measured by something called ejection fraction, and where mine ran between 65 and 69, which is normal, now at a 32. So around half, or a little over half, the function of my heart is gone because of the amount of time that passed because of the delay in proper diagnosis. So, citizens of Washington County, the main reason for this, the main reason for me telling you this story, held back to begin with. At this point in time, I have resigned. I cannot be affiliated with an organization. Over the years, I've witnessed so many acts of ridiculous incompetence, apathy. There's so much that I know that I can't tell you because of these little things called privacy laws. And I tell you truthfully, more and more, I'm beginning to think privacy laws are not about protecting you. I believe this privacy BS is about protecting sloppy medicine, because that's what it does. Myself and others in the organization for years have tried to follow proper channels of reporting incompetence and negligence. When we saw it, nothing's ever done about it. Nothing's been done about my situation. You could very well show up at the hospital and the same apathetic, uncaring, incompetent providers that told me I was fine could be there to take care of you or your family. So that's why I'm issuing a wake-up call. Edmund Burke made a statement that all it takes for evil to advance in the world is for good men to do nothing. I saw that a number of years ago, and it just struck a chord, and it stuck with me. I'm taking a stand. I'm standing up for what's right. And I realize when you stand up for what's right, oftentimes that means you stand up alone. And if that's the case, so be it. I really, truly hope that employees or former employees that can back up what I'm telling you, I hope I don't continue to stand alone. I hope some will stand up with me and make their voices heard. I know in this community, I know that there are a number of people whose lives have been affected by apathy and incompetence at Washington County Regional Medical Center. And the thing that angers me, folks, is that we're being forced to pay. I want to give you imagine that there's a business, and to just say someone opens, let's say, an automotive shop in town that is horribly run. They do sloppy repairs, their customer service is awful, their business is failing. And imagine that someone shows up at your house with a gun, demanding money, threatening to take your life or your property if you don't hand up money to prop up this failing business that's being poorly run. That's, when you look at it in that perspective, it's ridiculous. Well, let me tell you, that's exactly what's going on with Washington County Regional Medical Center. Well, what do you mean they're taking my money at a gun? Well, folks, I'm going to tell you, the part of your tax bill that's earmarked to go to that hospital, if you refuse to pay that, guess what's going to happen? the county is going to seize the property that you own. And if you tell the county, oh no, you're not taking my property, guess what? Sheriff Cochran will send his men with guns, and they will take your property or your life if you put up enough of a fight. That's how taxes work. So we're being forced to pay to support a failing organization. And I can tell you in 2011 is when I went to EMT school, and I did clinical ride-alongs. When I completed school and obtained my EMT license in 2012, I went to work for the hospital. And I can tell you, off and on since 2012, in some form or fashion, part-time, there was a period of time I didn't work there, but, even volunteered when it, wasn't. And I can tell you, in my entire time of affiliation with the hospital, it is in the worst shape that I have seen it in its entire time. I do want to make this caveat. There are some wonderful, compassionate, caring employees at Washington County Regional Medical Center. But guess what? Their numbers are in decline. The organization is suffering from a lack of leadership. It's suffering from a lack of management. Diligent employees are persecuted. And in some cases, the employees have been wrongfully terminated. People that try to do their job, people who advocate for patients, are persecuted. While prolific brown nosers who suck up and kiss up do well. They tend to get promoted and do well within the organization. The place has cancer, folks. It's kind of like, an analogy I've used is apples. If I have 3 of the most beautiful apples that you've ever seen, and I have 1 apple that is absolutely rotten to the core, if I put those 4 apples in a basket, what's going to happen? Are the good apples going to make the rotten apple suddenly good? No. You know the outcome. The rot will spread. That one rotten apple will ruin the entire bunch. And I'm telling you, that organization has cancer. There are numerous rotten apples that need to be removed. I do not care. There's a massive PR campaign. We're running around the civic groups and all this, that, and the other, and they're making PR videos, and people are going around putting on dog and pony shows, and we've painted half of the building, only the front half that you can see, and all these. Listen, I'm here to tell you, tomorrow, if someone said, "Hey, Washington County, I'm going to give you a brand, you know what? I'm going to donate $100 million, build you a brand new hospital." I don't care, folks. It's worthless without quality people to provide care. Wake up, Washington County. If you want a good example, I don't know who runs the Emanuel County Hospital, but you don't have to go very far. Go to Emanuel County. If you want to see a hospital run right, you can feel the entire atmosphere when you walk in the door of that place is entirely different. You're hard-pressed to find a more toxic culture than what is present at Washington County Regional Medical Center. Hostile work environment really is just not a strong enough term. Folks, wake up. There's only, why is it that I'm talking to you? Well, you know what? I'm able to tell you the stories of me. And oh, by the way, about 10 days prior to this, my mother experienced a fall early in the morning. She told me what was going on. She couldn't bear weight on her leg. I elected to call 911 and request an ambulance because she needed assistance getting out of her home. That ambulance crew made her walk to the stretcher. When she got to the hospital, lo and behold, guess what? She had a broken leg. They made her walk on a broken leg when we have equipment for that very reason, to get people out of their homes and facilitate getting them into the truck to provide the utmost patience. So less than 10 days on the heels of that, and don't get me wrong, folks, I don't expect special treatment. I don't care who you are. When you go into that hospital, your emergency, your medical needs should be attended to in a thorough and a competent manner. You know, the fact that I'm an employee doesn't entitle me to any special, you know, but I do think it makes a statement. If they're willing to treat an employee that way, what does it say about how they'll treat you or a member of your family? You know, wake up, Washington County. You know, the county commissioners need to hear from you. They need to know. And I don't care. Like I said, if I stand alone and if I single-handedly, I hope to be able to meet with the hospital authority. At the very least, I'll be sending them a letter. I would love to meet them in person. I'll be going to a county commissioners meeting to let them know I do not want money taken from me invested into that facility. Let it fail. You know, I hear all these, oh, we need a hospital. Well, let me tell you something. We don't have one. You know, I've worked in counties that had no hospital, and we knew we had no hospital. You planned accordingly. We're worse off here because we think we do, but you may or may not get the care that you need. You know, at the minimum, hey, I've been an advocate of that facility for a long time. But I'm telling you, the management and the management company needs to go. You know, they either need to get their act together or they need to let it fail. Stop robbing me of my money and propping up a substandard organization. You know, a few years ago, I saw citizens of Washington County get riled up about a football coach, and no disrespect to that. Everything I know, he's a good man that made a positive impact in a bunch of young men's lives, and really the issue there was actions of arrogance on the part of a system administrator and an administrative body, and that riled the ire of Washington County, and they made their voice heard. Folks, I'm talking literally a matter of life and death here, and I'm urging you, get fired up, wake up, Washington County. You deserve better. And I know everyone, everywhere I go, my one voice is not going to make a difference. But if I have to single-handedly knock on every door and speak to every member of my community on my own, I will. Because there is strength in numbers. And people need to understand that you mean business. And you demand better for your county, for yourself, for your family, for your friends, for your neighbors. You deserve better. Like I said, I'm launching this. I will make this public. I'm asking you, please. I know this is lengthy, and I apologize, but folks, my life, you know, it nearly could have taken my life. And I will say I am alive, but I do want on that point, I am alive. But guess what? Life as I knew it is over. As I said, I'm a small business owner, you know, and I'm just being completely candid. I'm bearing my soul here to share with you the reality that I'm facing because of people that couldn't be bothered to do their job. I may very well be facing the end of my business. I'm a small business. I am the only full-time employee I have that I can count on and depend on. And right now, I'm running maybe between 30 and 50%. I very well may lose my business over this, which means I very well may lose my livelihood, which means I am facing financial ruin. I'm about to possibly and most likely be facing liquidating assets to pay off bank notes, and unfortunately there's not enough asset to cover everything, so I will be facing taking equipment back to lenders. I am facing my personal vehicle having to go back to my credit union and hand them the keys and say, I'm sorry folks, I can't pay for it because I've been robbed of my livelihood. So yes, I am alive. And as long as I am alive, I have opportunity and I have chance to rebuild my life. But I'm here to tell you, that this has cost me my life as I know it. And guess what, folks? That's not just a single issue. My wife is beside me driving the car now. Believe me, what's happened to me affects her. It affects my children, my grandchildren, my mother. You know, there is a cost. We're all human. We all make mistakes. I mean, myself, I've made many. I'll give you that. But I'm going to tell you, there are certain situations where you don't have the option to be sloppy. There's a difference in a mistake and negligence. And what I have experienced, there's no two ways about it, is inexcusable negligence. So please, folks, wake up. Demand better for yourself, for your families. My phone number, 478-363-0403. Again, 478-363-0403. Contact me. The employees present and former, I'm urging you, please come forward with what you know and what you can share. Understanding we're all bound by confidentiality and privacy principles. But there are many out there that can confirm to you what acts of incompetence and negligence that have been reported and nothing ever done about it. There are those out there that can confirm good employees who are persecuted. There are employees out there who have been wrongfully terminated that can share their stories. There are many members of our community who you and or your family members have been affected by incompetence or negligence at Washington County Regional Medical Center. Make your voice heard. We deserve better. And I urge you to stand up with me. Like I said, I'm perfectly willing to stand alone. I'm also realizing, folks, that by standing up, this is what's going to happen. You mark my word for it. They'll demonize me. Tactics like, there all seem to be D's: deny, deflect, distract, demonize. I'll be made out to be crazy. I'll be made out to be a bad guy. I'll be vilified. I'll be talked about behind my back. Folks, I don't care. I'm a big boy. Bring it on. I got into the medical field because I care about people and I wanted to help people. And if sharing my account, I'm willing to take on whatever consequences come my way. You've already sent me home to die. It doesn't get much worse than that. I'm still alive. And since I'm still alive, I'm going to take advantage of the breath that's still in my body to say, we demand better. We will not continue to tolerate what we're getting from Washington County Regional Medical Center. Thank you for your time. Again, please share this. Spread the word. Again, contact me, 478-363-0403. Stay tuned. Stay safe.